For most students, the Boston Public Schools have gone back to in-person learning 5 days a week at all grade levels, but it's already time to look ahead at programs for this summer and even toward plans beyond the summer for school buildings and standards for graduation. To bring us up to date is Boston School Superintendent Brenda Cassellius. Thank you very much for being with us, Superintendent.
So great to be here with you, Chris.
Superintendent, I want to ask you about what it is reaching all grade levels this week with students coming in for in-person education. How's it working out?
It's working great. And so the best way is to see that our buses are running on time at 95%. So that's great. And we're really excited about some of the changes we did there. The students are coming back happy, joyful. Teachers are so happy to be back with their colleagues, co-planning, and just all of us getting ready to have a strong end of the school year and then launch summer school.
I want to ask you about summer because for a number of years, there has been this changing mindset about the importance of summer education and the potential for learning. But what about this year? You're coming out of a pandemic. There's a lot of lost ground to be made up. Does that change your plans?
Well, what it did was help us to focus our plans, I think. And to be sure that we had a lot of partnerships. We've been working with Boston After School and Beyond, as you know, for many years here in Boston, well beyond my coming to Boston. Just a wonderful program and partner with over 200 nonprofits and organizations who participate in providing opportunities for children throughout the summer. And so it's both an academic boost and also an opportunity for us to do enrichment and get kids back outside, socializing with their peers and just being able to re-enter the normal life that we all are starting to get accustomed to. I myself went out to dinner with friends the other night and it just, feels a little awkward still. But I think as we enter this post-pandemic world, it's going to just take a little bit more care and time, especially with kids.
If there are people who don't know about these programs, and maybe there aren't that many, but there are people who might not be tuned in that closely, what would you say about them to encourage them to take a closer look and maybe get their children enrolled in them?
I think the one thing that parents should really know is that they're both academic and enrichment. And I think that provides a nice balance for students to be able to have the opportunity to play and to experience new things, experience new people, and to get out of the house and learn in new ways and have new opportunities that maybe they couldn't have before. Also, I think this is a year when they really do need that academic boost before coming back this fall. And so I think that that's really important.
What about some of the STEM programs? Because some people might look at those and say, it's great for a kid who shows a lot of ability, but what about parents who say, it might be nice for my kid, but I'm afraid my kid's going to be intimidated. What about someone who's on the fence like that? What would you say to them?
Oh, I think that we have all different types of programs for students to be involved. And any involvement really is going to give our children an academic boost anyways. From just reading this summer with your child or having them engage with reading to going out to museums, just getting them out experiencing many different things for their learning. And so I would say that don't worry about the level of the effort. Sign up for something that's a good match, and you can always talk to your child's teacher. They can help you find the best program for your child as well.
Well, of course, it's no surprise that there are programs to help many immigrant students improve in their English, but I also noticed you have some programs, I guess, mainly for immigrant students that are more culturally focused. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Well, we've been trying to take a really strong focus, particularly over the past couple of years, to be culturally and linguistically respectful and affirming in all that we do. And so we're trying to provide services for students in their home language that are culturally affirming to them in their own identities, and just make sure that they know that they're welcomed and valued and that they are a huge contribution to our community.
Now, in normal times, we'd be talking about summer programs as a way to prevent learning loss. Is there anything that's really been sort of mapped out by people in studies about how much loss you're avoiding with these programs?
Well, some studies say you can gain 3 months, and some studies say you can gain over a year with some of the programs. It just depends on the intensity and the saturation of the program and how long students are in them. And, if it's an 8-week program, that can obviously make a really big difference if the attendance is really good. Sometimes in summertime, you see the kids at the first couple of weeks and it's a really strong attendance, and then they take a couple vacations with their families, and then by that time the program's almost over, so they don't return. So we want them to endure the entire program this summer. I think that matters. So we want good attendance at our summer programs.
I want to ask you about one other summer program. I know it's by invitation, but I think it's still noteworthy. You're expanding efforts to level the playing field for kids trying to get into exam schools. Can you tell a bit about that strategy too?
Yeah, so every summer we do offer programming for our exam school students as they come to and enter into our exam schools, to make sure that they get a little extra boost before they enter in the fall. And so our 3 exam school leaders are working together right now to provide additional opportunities for this cohort of students, which is a very diverse cohort of students. They'll have more students with disabilities that they've had before, more students who speak other languages. And so we want to make sure that those students are supported and given the boost that they need in exam schools, that maybe those supports haven't been there before, that they would have, had during their elementary time.
I want to ask you about some other developments in the school system, because one of the things that really happened that was very important that the school committee has been looking at for a long time, and that's about the questions for graduation standards, because without those standards, a lot of graduates are not sufficiently prepared for higher education. Tell me about the change that's going to be kicking in a few years down the line.
Yeah, this was a really huge and will be a really huge game changer for us. Most states require graduation requirements. Massachusetts has very limited graduation requirements and leaves that up to the local level. And then outside of the local level, not having graduation standards like Boston Public Schools, then high schools create their own standards. And so it is important to have common standards across all high schools. And then for us to be able to hold those standards so that we can have a real strong progression of learning, we call it, from all the way from preschool through grade 12. And then the teachers can work together. They can have professional development together and establish a higher level of rigor for students so that then they're really ready for college and career, and the diploma means something.
Now, there is a lot of support for this, from local officials here in Boston and some policy people, but at the same time, it sounds ambitious. You need buy-in, you need resources. Can that happen?
Yeah, well, we've committed up to $10 million to implement the Mass Core. Many of our high schools already do implement about 80% of the courses. What they're missing are the arts courses, the world language courses. They're missing some of the VOTEC courses. And those are the well-rounded courses that we really want students to be able to participate in so that they have a strong liberal arts background and they're ready for college and career. And so we've put that in place. We also have a phased-in timeline. So it's this year's 7th graders who will be held to that standard. So that means that we'll have almost a 5-year implementation, so that when they enter into 9th grade, the year after next, we'll have had the opportunity to build those 9th grade courses for them to take, and then that year to be able to build the 10th grade courses. And so we have a really thought out implementation plan with our team here.
You also have a plan approved for school buildings, some closings, some new construction, some renovations. We can't go into every one of them, but anything you can say overall about how this takes people further ahead?
Well, I'm really excited about former Mayor Walsh's and current Mayor Janey's commitment to our facilities. And I look forward to talking with whoever the mayor happens to be in November, because our facilities are in poor shape. And we really need them to be 21st century facilities. They need to have gymnasiums, auditoriums, libraries, proper health and safety measures within the school, like nursing stations and support personnel offices and things. And so we are going to be entering into a time where over the next 10 years and longer, where we're hoping to be able to do 2 to 3 major renovations or rebuilds. So what we announced last Wednesday was 4 major renovations and also 5 new builds. And so really quite excited about that opportunity to be able to get that started, to give the school buildings to our children that I think they deserve.
Finally, I want to ask about educators, because you have at least a couple of people who've been selected for some recognition. So tell us why that's happening.
Well, just so excited about some of our professionals. Just this past couple weeks, we had Massachusetts Elementary Principal of the Year, Julia Bott, be announced as their awardee, and we're just so proud of her. She's at the Mendel School here in Roxbury. And then also Jessica Descartes was a Counselor of the Year for Massachusetts Counseling, and just really proud of that recognition in a year of pandemic. These educators really stepping up and getting it done for kids just makes us all really proud. And it's a testament of the good work that the employees here in Boston Public Schools do for the children of this city.
Finally, you have a lot of details online about the summer programming that people can look over. So if people want to check that out, what's your advice for them about where to find it?
Well, the first advice is talk to your child's teacher, and they should be logging in right now what your child's summer plan is. So we are sending out text regularly to parents on how to get involved if you are going to try to go online. And so you can go to www.bostonpublicschools.org/summer learning and get more information there. And we are just excited about our summer. We want everyone to be involved. So please check in with your teacher or go online and sign up.
Right. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to join us.
Thank you so much, Chris, and I hope that you do well.
Yes, you too. Thank you very much. Good to see you again. Boston School Superintendent Brenda Cassellius. We'll have more news in just a moment.